another episode of WEEM Weekly. This is episode 9, and today we're going to talk with my coworker Jenny about Read and Feed and the library here in Pendleton. And then further down in this episode, Sophia got to sit down with a student for a band clinic interview that just recently happened. And then I got to talk to Allie Ridenauer about her experiences with the Madison County Art Show that just recently happened. So there's a whole lot in this episode, but right now we're going to focus on Read and Feed. Jenny, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Thank you, Brooklyn. My name's Jennifer Hughes, and I work at the Pendleton Community Library. I started off as a circulation assistant and part-time, and then they allowed me to have responsibilities with the food pantry and the community garden. And when I went to full-time, that took up a lot of that time.
So you said responsibilities with the food pantry. Was it already established by the time that you kind of took on that role? What did it look like then compared to what it looks like now?
Yeah. So when it started out, I think the community garden started first. And it was the idea, I'm not sure if it was Lynn Hobbs, the director, or Tyler Goff, who was the circulation manager at the time, but they wanted to start a community garden, and they partnered with the Pendleton Parks to use a spot that's right there next to the library in front of the pool, in front of Brown's Pool. And they created the community garden, and then they needed a way to distribute the produce to neighbors in need. And so they were taking it, they were harvesting it and taking it to local pantries, and that was taking up just too much time. And then they thought, well, this is something we could do ourselves. And so then they started the food pantry.
That's really interesting, especially since just to begin with, a community garden isn't something that you see often in libraries. I think that our library definitely has in my limited experience of libraries, a very diverse type of
It's
offerings.
very unique that way.
Yeah.
The way Lynn would say it is, we fill the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
So we look at issues in our community, and one of those things was food insecurity is what they call it, and that's when someone, might be worried about where their next meal comes from. And they thought, this is a problem we can solve, and we have, a very friendly, welcoming space to do that, and a space with no barriers. Anybody can come to the library. Anybody can come to the pantry. It doesn't matter your age, your religion, your socioeconomic background. Everybody is welcome. And I think that's what makes the library special.
And so something with our Read and Feed pantry is that it isn't something that you have to be a patron or a member of the library to, what is the word?
To patronize the pantry.
There you go. Yeah. Has that always been the case?
That's right. You don't have to have a card. Although if you wanted a card, you could get it. But the only requirement for our pantry is we hope that people will live in our 3 townships that the library services, and that's Fall Creek, Green, and Adams townships. We have had people come from outside of those service areas, and anybody that turns up, they're going to get food.
Mm-hmm.
If you're showing up to the pantry, we assume you need food. And something we've been working on then recently is, if you are coming from out of the area, what pantries are operating that are more convenient to you in your area. And so we're trying to collect that kind of information and get people resources that, maybe are easier for them to get to.
And I definitely think that from what I've learned with Read and Feed and just in general, food pantries might not be the most advertised thing in the world, which is weird since they're so necessary to people and they are such a big thing that are kind of few and far between, I would say. So having that resource to, even if you go here once and you don't live in our area, you can still find hopefully somewhere a little closer to you.
I've been doing this over 10 years, and I'm still just learning about other pantries crop up, then their funding, doesn't always pan out, and then they have to close. And so we do have to keep up with the information, and sometimes that can be hard because it is hard to find them. They don't always have the most current things online. And I don't know if you've ever heard of 211, but you can dial 211 and get emergency services. It was abysmal before COVID. And then during and after COVID, I think they sent a lot of funds that way. And they have improved it, but I think it's still hard to keep track of what resources are available and, what their schedules are, how they work, who is eligible. But it's good that they're around, but it's very important for us to keep up on that information, be in the library and all. And
100%.
Information services.
And I think that Pendleton does well with advertising. I mean, you're sitting down right now with me, talking about Read and Feed. We have on our website, there's a plentiful amount of information about the library in the Read and Feed program. You can always walk up to anyone that's at our desks and they'll give information about it. And something I think maybe is commonly thought of is that we only function one day out of the week. What's the difference between that Thursday that Read and Feed operates completely versus any other day?
Well, first of all, it is shocking because people still don't know that we exist. So doing something like this is thanks for letting us do this so that we can get the word out. Anybody can come to the pantry any day of the week. They can come once a week. But Thursdays are different because that's the day we are able to offer fresh produce and baked items. The way it works is someone will come in on a Thursday and they're able to pick out 10 non-perishable food items. Did I say this already?
Yes. I mean, that part, but yeah.
And then on Thursday, depending on what we get, it's always that's always fluctuating. It could be a lot of baked items. It could be a lot of produce in the summer when the gardens are all going. But the other days, we don't have those things.
And so with the gardens, we did just kind of get out of winter. It's just so cold outside today. I opened the door and it was freezing outside.
Yeah.
Should not be this cold. Anyways, but for I guess the winter and times that the garden isn't accessible to us, where do you get the food?
We purchase the produce from Needlers. They very graciously donate their baked items. And then the funding comes from, it started off with grants and some help from the United Way. Now, the United Way did stop funding us because they see us as a Band-Aid program. That means, you're helping somebody that day, but it's not a long-term program, which I actually support. I'm glad that they want to fund these other programs that help people more long-term. Our biggest supporters now are private donations. The township trustees do support us, and we get a lot of donations from the Boy Scouts. We've gotten some from the Girl Scouts. There are local sororities that help us out. There are so many, I think, Lions Club, Kiwanis, a lot of people just can bring food right to the library, and whatever you do, that's the nice thing about it. Everything is local. The food comes from people in the community. They donate a can of green beans. It gets into somebody's hand probably that same day, and it's somebody that might be your neighbor.
So you mentioned a lot of companies and a lot of clubs. How do they get involved if, say I were a new club wanting to get involved with Read and Feed and to donate? How exactly would that process work? Do you have any part in that?
However, you raise your funds, you just contact the library, and if you were collecting food donations, you could bring them to the front desk. If it was a monetary donation, again, you would just bring it in, and it would get to our financial office, and they put it into the. It's our office manager that would take that in, and then she does most of the purchasing for the non-perishable food items. And Payless and Anderson, I think they give us a pretty decent deal, and we buy things on sale, and she's really good at keeping an eye on those funds and using them, very judiciously.
Yeah, that's very cool that, especially grocery stores where you really wouldn't think would maybe get as involved as a club that's kind of local to help read and feed. I wouldn't have expected that, but I also didn't realize that restaurants fund our game corners. So
Right.
A lot of the community and a lot of the businesses around us are extremely generous when it comes to the public and community. Maybe more than you
Pendleton
realize.
is a very supportive community,
Mhm.
very giving community. I've just been overwhelmed sometimes by people's generosity here, and it's in all different ways. But they don't see the gratitude at the end of the day, and I do.
Mhm.
People who come in to use the pantry, they are struggling, but they are very grateful for the help, and I wish everybody could see that.
Yeah. And I think
But-
the library helps contribute to that by offering a garden and offering the read and feed pantry and all those things.
Yeah, we do a lot of non-traditional programs, and I think people don't, you think at the library, you think of books.
Yeah.
But ours is unique. It's very warm. It's very welcoming. The staff are friendly, and they want you there. They want you to be there. And I think that's part of the success of our Read and Feed program too. I'm genuinely glad to see the faces and learn the names, and I love meeting folks.
Yeah.
And
learning
when you
the
can meet
names.
folks and help folks. And I don't think people think of Pendleton as maybe needing a pantry, but guess how many families have come through Read and Feed since we started?
I think I knew this number. I think you've told me it before. I don't know. How many is it?
Take a guess.
6,000.
No, that's very high. But for a
2,000.
community this size, last count was 740 families
Whoa.
have been helped by
And
Read
that's
Feed.
families. That's not even individual people. That
Yeah.
can be 2 to 3 people in just one family.
Sometimes more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes.
I think I was
You know,
thinking
single.
600.
Yeah. You were close.
6,000.
707.
You were close. Okay.
That was
Whatever.
it was a bit of an overshoot.
Yeah, I was maybe, I don't really
How many
know where
people
I
live
was
in this
going
town?
with that.
But you know what? That's the thing about it too. I think, that's the thing I think the library is trying to achieve is this notion of toxic shame, or that you should be ashamed. That's one of the reasons why we went fine free. We don't want you to feel shame because you owe 10 cents or
Yeah.
whatever. We don't want you to feel shame because you might need help. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs help. And, no one should feel, like they can't come in and ask for the things they need. That's why we're there, to fill in those gaps when somebody has a problem or they need something. We're the people who try to get it.
Mhm. Yeah, fill in the gaps works perfectly as I think a general overview of what Pendleton, I almost said Heights Community Library does. It's really cool. That's not something that I've ever seen before. And do you think that there will be any more changing and expansion to Read and Feed? Do you feel like it's very well developed and something that is kind of consistent?
I think what we do works for us.
Mhm.
I've seen other pantries that or I've heard of them. They're massive. They have refrigeration. They do big programs and big dinners. That's not what we do. But I think what we do really works for the library. It works for, our patrons. And as far as any major changes, I don't see that.
Yeah.
I don't see that. But
And clearly it's working.
it is
700
working.
people, that's not families.
And I'm trying to think. I should have looked it up. What year did it start?
I've
been
totally
there
look
13
it up right now.
years, so I want to say it's 15, 16 years.
What did it say on the website?
I don't know.
Read and Feed.
I don't think so.
Pendleton.
But
Menu.
like I said, I've been here 13 years, and it was 2 or 3 years before I started.
Mm-hmm.
They're, I know they had some. So you asked, how did it start out? They eventually had the trailer that went to all 3 townships, and we would visit Markleville, which is Adams Township, then come to Pendleton, which is Fall Creek Township, and then go to Ingalls, which is Green Township. And our numbers started to go down, and I think, it was just harder for people to remember these shorter time slots and trying to get to the trailer on time. It was a really cool setup, and we, had a good time doing it. But we saw less and less families that way. And then COVID hit, and it was, really tight quarters, and people would be standing outside in the heat, and horrible heat, and horrible cold. And so then one winter, we said, let's move it inside, and our numbers went up. And then we tried going back out on the trailer once, and it just didn't seem to work as well. And I think now people have a consistent and comfortable and safe space where they can come in, and they do come in.
Mm-hmm.
We went from maybe 5 families a week to seeing anywhere from 29 to 35 families a week. So it's getting it to the people in a different way, but I think this way is working very well. And I think it's a really lovely time, too, for people to come in and see a friendly face, or, sometimes they chat each other up, and it can fill that social need, too.
Yeah, and I think especially we talk a lot about Read and Feed, but Read and Feed is located in a library. And a library, as much as it has so many other things, it's got books for people to read, and it's got play areas for children, so families can come in, and even if you go get food and your kids go to the playroom or check out books, there's so much that you can do with Read and Feed, and especially in a generalized location like the library, it gives you tons of opportunity. It doesn't have to be just a trip to get food. It's a trip to read a book and play and all these things.
Yep, exactly that. Books are our brand. When you think of a library, that's your first thought is all of the books, but it's so much more than that. It's a proper community center, and I have never felt more a part of a community than I did here. I'm not from here, but I feel a genuine attachment to this place very significantly.
Yeah. Pendleton's got a weird, kind of bigger town, but also little town vibes that people like. And I definitely think it all fits together. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this interview. Is there anything else that you would like to maybe talk about with Read and Feed?
I'm sure there's something I've forgotten. But when we make this our continuing series, we'll get into it.
Of course.
No, thanks for having me. Thanks for putting this out there. I hope people will listen. And if they need help, they'll know they can come and we always say start at the library.
Yeah.
When you need help, start at the library. Everybody there, I think, is there because they genuinely have a mission to help people.
Yeah.
So continue that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And next up will be the band clinic interview. Sophia got to sit down and again talk about the band clinic that just recently happened. So stay tuned for that. And thank you so much, Jenny, for being here with me.
Cheers. Thanks, Brooklyn.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Brooklyn Schuyler, and I'm the Assistant Operations Manager.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Cowan, and I am the Director of the Podcast Department.
My name is Aiden Wilson, and I'm in the Sports Department.
Hi, my name is Ada Brown, and I'm in the Social Media Department.
Hi, my name is Michael Hooker, and I'm in the Sports Department.
My name is Lena Johnson, and I'm in the Social Media Department.
Hi, my name is Layla Reith, and I'm the Social Media Director and Operations Manager.
I'm Jonathan Lambert, and I'm part of the Social Media Department.
Hi, I'm Zion Palmieri, and I'm the Director of the Sports Department.
Hi, my name is Sophia Bevan, and I'm in the Social Media Department.
I'm Luke Denniston, and I'm on the Social Media and Programming Departments.
Hi, I'm JC Robinette, and I'm the Director of the Programming Department.
Hi, I'm Xander Ohuria, and I'm in the Podcast Department.
I'm Elena Ihorn, and I'm part of the Social Media Department.
My name is Wesley Johnson, and I'm in the Podcast Department.
I'm Braden Oxeer, and I'm part of the Podcast Department.
Hi, my name is Callie Petty, and I'm in the Social Media Department.
Hi, my name is Liam Davis, and I'm in the Sports Department.
Hi, I'm Ethan Lincoln, and I'm a member of the Programming Department.
Hi, I'm Lacey Sneed, and I'm a part of the Social Media Department.
Hi, my name is Logan Romine, and I'm part of the Podcast Department.
Hi, my name is Lucas Williams, and I'm part of the Sports Department.
Hi, my name is Reagan Butler, and I work on the Programming Department.
Welcome back to another segment of WEEM Weekly, and here I am joined by
Percy Mottsinger. Hello.
And we are going to be talking about something recently. I say recently, it was last night, of the Clinic Day concert that our band had, and both me and Percy are in band, and we both are in percussion, so we're going to be talking a little bit more on like the percussionist perspective and just how the concert went, really. Excited? Now, what's your overall impression of like last night's clinic? Like, did anything like particular stand out to you, or?
It was definitely an interesting like I feel like there's a little bit of chaos backstage. But overall it was a fairly good concert. It was fairly average other than the little bit of chaos backstage.
Yeah.
I actually played a lot less in this concert than I normally do, like music wise, like I played in less songs. So
I do agree with that. Like, we obviously are, for every other concert, we have like 4 or 5 songs, but with Clinic Day concerts, it's to prepare us for ISMA, so we only have like 3 songs. And then even then, like, one of the songs was like, I think, only 3 people played it, and the 9 people in percussion, so only 3 people in percussion out of the 9 are playing it. And then one of them, I feel like a lot of people didn't play it, but there's still a good amount. And I played a healthy amount of that song. I played a lot. And then in the last one, I think everyone played in it, but I played about 6 measures. So it was quite the riveting concert for me. But pretty boring. It's fine. I mean, I think we have some more exciting ones coming up. I know we have some more interesting music, like for our ISMA contest music, I can tell it's like a lot better than this contest, a lot more interesting. But that's that. How does Clinic Day help you prepare for the upcoming concert season, more specifically ISMA, like I just talked about?
Well, it definitely prepares you to be definitely on stage and play the music in front of an audience. That's kind of like the entire point of the preview concert. And since the middle schoolers and I think was 6th grade there? I think 6th grade was there.
I don't remember. It might be, I think so.
It prepares them for a larger scale concert that us high schoolers are definitely used to.
Definitely, for sure. And what specific things did you like work on this concert? Like, what did you work on?
Well, I played snare, which is the snare drum. It's definitely not something that I normally play in concert band. Play a lot of drums, but not that. And it was in cut time, and I personally, I'm not great at that, so that was definitely a big thing that I've been working on for this concert.
Yeah. I thought your part sounded honestly really good. It came a long way. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, this is rough, but it's also because we never worked on it like as just percussion. And then at the end of the concert, I was like, wait, this sounds actually really good. And very proud of you. And then after clinic, and usually I say this is for like a little bit like of I guess, background, clinic day, how the concerts used to work is you'd play your concert and then you'd get a clinic. But now, I think it was last year and this year, it's kind of formed in that during the week of clinic day, you'll at some point get in class, you'll get a clinic from someone and then you'll go perform, which I feel like is a little different, but just for a little bit of context. And then after our clinic, is there anything that applied to you that the clinician talked to us that you want to apply to yourself? Or, I mean, for me at least, there's a few things, but
I don't remember the clinician actually talking to me directly. He didn't really address percussion very much.
Yeah,
so.
Maybe once or twice, but I think it was only about dynamics, stuff like that. But just on all of the 91.7 WEEM social media pages, we post great content almost every day. So regardless of where you're seeing us now, you should make sure you can see us on any platform. We post awesome content like skits and funny videos, updates on our sports teams and their games, updates on stuff happening around the campus and community, and much more. We're 91.7 WEEM on all our socials, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. So don't be afraid to give us a follow.
WEEM. That was Sophia Bevan, and she was talking about the band clinic that just recently happened here at Pendleton Heights High School. And now I'm here with Allie Ridenauer, right? That's how I say your last name?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And we are going to be talking a little bit about the Madison County Art Show that just recently happened, and you actually won something in it. Can you tell us a little bit about what you entered into that contest?
I entered a painting called Catharsis, and it was a prominently blue painting. I think that was the only color I used in it. And it was for a Painting One project, and I think it's my favorite project I've ever done in art class.
Was there any subject to it, things like that? What was your kind of goal when making it?
We were supposed to do, so the goal of the project was to create a place that brings us peace based off of a Van Gogh painting that had been made. So I chose to create a painting using only blue because I feel like blue is a very calming color. And the water and the clouds, I think it just created a painting. And what I wanted to capture was the feeling of just sitting on a dock or beach and just feeling the cool air and the calming sound of the waves. That's just what I wanted.
Yeah, I always think of maybe warmer colors to be kind of comforting and calm type of colors, but blue also kind of has that same connotation, especially with night in the ocean and things like that. So was there any I guess decision you had to make between maybe a warmer color and a colder color, or was it just colder right away?
So I actually typically paint with really vibrant colors and a lot of colors. This is one of the first works of art I've ever made that was just kind of monochromatic. And I really enjoyed doing it because it helped me explore how I can create depth and color contrast without any other colors. And it was really fun to do that.
All right. Did you end up kind of sticking with that theme after that painting, or did you kind of move on to other things? What has your kind of future projects look like?
It actually really helped me understand color theory and depth and stuff. So more of my recent works I have worked on not doing as vibrant of colors and working more with water or clouds because I think that after that painting I really understood the right technique and everything for it.
And then you said that this was a art, your first art class work, right?
Yeah, it was. So I took Intro to 2D art, and then this was Painting One. So this is the second art class I've ever taken.
Okay.
Sadly, I wish I took a lot more, but yeah, that was my second art class.
Are you taking more this year? Or was that was last year?
The art class I'm taking this year is Viscom 1, but I'm not very good at design. I wish I could just paint more. So I don't think I'll be continuing visual communication. I'm just not good at it.
What exactly is visual communications like? How does it differ?
It's more of a design class. You're just designing and solving problems and stuff rather than creating actual works of art. And although it's really interesting and some people are really good at it. I just can't catch on.
Are there other painting classes that you can take at Pendleton?
I mean, art classes can be all media, but I think that if you want to paint, painting is the class to take. I don't know. There's like drawing, and then Viscom you can use any media, so you could paint all of your projects if you wanted to, but for some of them it'd be weird to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
in our class.
Yeah.
All right. And then going back a little bit to the art show in general, what was the process of entering your painting into the art show?
So basically, you just filled out a piece of paper with your phone number and your address, and you had your teacher or your parent sign. And then you just handed whatever 2 works of art you really enjoyed.
Did you submit to?
Yes, I did.
What was your other one?
My other one was a piece of work inspired by jazz. So basically, it was like a jazz cafe or like a parlor or something with a piano, and just I didn't want to make a realistic painting, but I also didn't want to make it. I was going for more what's it called, contemporary or something, pop art.
I think so.
It was I was exploring a new style. So it has this door here with a light, and then just this big room full of like ghostly people. They're not realistic. They don't have definitive features. All you could see was their faces and the outline of a suit, and then a piano. And it was just inspired by the passion of jazz.
That sounds really cool.
Thank you.
So when you entered your painting into the awards, there was, I think, like a show that happened where people like kind of like stood and talked about their art. Was that something that you went to? Were you able to?
No, I had to work, but almost everybody I know went. And basically, it's in downtown Anderson, and it's like this really pretty, it's beautiful in there. I can't remember what it's called, but they just have the artwork displayed everywhere, sectioned by, I think, medium. And then, yeah, you just walk around, you look at other people's art, and then after about an hour of it being open, they'll just announce the winners of certain awards and honorable mentions and stuff. It's a really nice atmosphere, and then people are always like super kind, and everybody's just so intrigued by everybody else.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's lighthearted.
I was kind of amazed by like how many people I saw go. I didn't get to go either, but I saw like all over my social medias. It was just like the art show constantly, and I was really like interested. There's a lot of cool pieces there too. And looking at like the winners, we had a ton from Pendleton, because this wasn't only a Pendleton thing. There was other schools that were in it too.
It was all of Madison County. Yes.
Yeah. So there was a ton of Pendleton winners.
Yeah, there was, I think it was 75% of Pendleton.
That's crazy.
That might be too high. It was at least I think 50 of us won awards. But yeah, Pendleton did really good.
Was this something that like Mr. Hunkler and the art teacher like had you guys do as like a project? Was it just something that he kind of like introduced you to?
He was like, hey, if you want people to see your work, submit a piece. That's it. That's all it was. It wasn't a project. We didn't have to do it. It wasn't he just said, submit a piece if you like. So he said you don't lose anything, but you might gain some money from it. So.
There were award like prizes?
Yes, there was cash awards. Yes.
Whoa.
I think that's like, I was so shocked. I was like, I'll take the cash, but that's just, it's cool. It's really interesting.
Crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah. I got like $15. Hey, $15.
Exactly.
That's a meal. So
that's a meal. Yeah, I did not know that. And especially like, so with the art show, did you do both paintings, right? The jazz was also a painting. There were also like multiple different forms of art that you could submit. It was very like, it wasn't limited at all. There were like little packets that were passed out that had all the winners, and like looking through it and seeing like just how kind of variety there was being submitted. It was really cool. Did you ever like consider maybe doing another medium like photography or something like that?
I did consider doing photography, yes. I love taking pictures, and I just, yeah, actually the inspiration for my painting was a picture I took like a couple years ago. So yeah, I thought that I was like, I could either paint it or I could meant just pictures.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. That'll be, unfortunately, all the time we have and the end of this episode. But stay tuned for episode 9 coming out next month. And goodbye.